Mitch Leib, Executive Director of the Real Q Pittsburgh LGBT Film Festival. It's a mouthful, but I get it right?
You did.
And the festival is celebrating its 30th year here in Pittsburgh.
That's correct. This is our 30th anniversary.
Congratulations. You don't look a year over 29. How long have you been with the organization?
I started, I think, in 2002. Yeah. So, and I've done different jobs. I've been the executive director since the end of 2009.
And a lot of the films are shown here at the Harris Theater downtown, which is where we are today.
All the films, actually.
And for 30 years has it been here? How long has the Harris been around?
I don't know the answer to that question. And the Harris has been here for a long time. It was actually a porn theater before it was the Harris.
Oh.
But I don't remember exactly.
I will say this, it's exceptionally clean. If anybody is...
I remember they had these billboards that said, our patrons only wear raincoats now when it rains.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they did.
That's clever marketing. I like that.
First switched over. But we've been in a lot of places. We've been at what was the Fulton, which is now the Bion.
Right.
In the Fulton Mini. First time I ever went, I think, was at the Rex Theater over in the South Side. When I started on the board, we were here. We also were at the Warhol a little bit. We were at the South Side Works for a few years, and now we're back home here.
So on average, in any given week, how many hours do you spend watching movies?
It depends on the time of the year.
Yeah.
It really depends. And then I go to San Francisco to their film festival, Frameline, and watch something like 40 films in about 11 days. So that's my intensive film watching. But we actually get films that are sent in to us throughout the year. We have a screening committee. We watch some of them at home. We watch some of them together. And make decisions on them. And we also often go to Toronto for their festival.
So what makes a film an LGBTQ film? Is it made that way? Is it a choice?
Well, technically, because I've been asked this before, it's LGBTQ themed. Our Q is sort of understood. But it's the theme, or it can be the people who've done the film. But I prefer the theme, because if it's a queer filmmaker who's making a straight film, we can just see that in a regular theater. But we never say never, and sometimes those things happen. So
what is your selection process like then? You told me a little bit about how you view them independently as a team together, but as far as the selection, what does it come down to?
Well, it's mostly about variety. We want men's films, we want women's films, we want transgender films and bisexual films, and we try to have an even number of men's and women's films. This year we haven't every year, but most years. Bisexual films are a little tougher to find. The transgender films are becoming really good, and in fact we have we have a really good one this year, and we have several really good short films. And then there's documentaries and comedies and dramas, and trying to get a good mix of that, as well as ethnicities, that being, do we have the African American community represented, Asian, Latino, but also bringing films from countries that are all over the world is important as well.
Now, the LGBT landscape has changed a lot, I think, especially in the last couple of years. You could argue that there's been more progress made in the last 2 years than the last 200. So have you seen that change reflected in the films that you're watching?
Yeah, I think we have. Actually, I was in San Francisco when everything came down.
National marriage equality.
National marriage equality, and when Prop 8 was struck down.
Well, of all the places to be,
it was quite the place to be. But yeah, I think there have been topics that we've gone through. We had lots of HIV and AIDS films, and there are still some, but not as predominant. We've had a lot of coming out films, which aren't as exciting unless they're really well done now. I always said we had a lot of women having babies films for a couple of years, but now there's a lot more of, in fact, we have a short film called I Do about people getting married and what that's about, and the different things that occur with that, and I think art just reflects society.
And I think the portrayal of LGBT characters too, because I think back to like the 40s where nobody was ever called,
Right.
it was just sort of implied, and those are the roles that like Edward Everett Horton always got stuck with. Nobody would ever talk about it in a mainstream film.
Sure.
But now I think the stereotypes are starting to drift away, and really the portrayals I think are becoming more genuine and deep.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole celluloid closet.
Yep.
And all of that. And it's pretty interesting, really. But yeah, we're not just the wacky best friend or the serial killer
or the hairdresser
or the crazy guy in the corner, or the two women who live together that nobody talks about, the teachers or whatever. So there's a full range of roles because there are a full range of people in our society. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. I mean, we've got All About Evil with Peaches Christ coming up
this week.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a little stage show going on with Peaches and some local drag queens and some who've come in. Sharon Needles is going to come and introduce it. It's going to be huge amounts of fun. It's not really our opening, it's sort of our pre-opening special event. We've worked, Kevin Lovelace on our board has worked really hard to make this happen. And then Friday night is our actual opening film called Out to Win, which is really a great film. It's a documentary about out athletes, and they interview Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King, and they talk a lot about Michael Sam.
So it's a small amount of time to get down and see these things, and I assume we can buy passes through the website.
You can go to our website, which is ReelQ, REEL, like a film reel, q.org. Not .com, but .org. And you can buy tickets online. You can also get tickets at the theater, but it's always better to have them ahead of time.
And we'll certainly share the link here after the...
Sure.
But you're just looking at the program.
We're on Twitter and we're on Facebook. You should like us on those.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Follow us, and Instagram. But yeah, we have great short films. We have
Yes, I see here, men's shorts. Now that could be taken a couple ways.
There are. In fact, in San Francisco they call it fun in men's shorts. And we have women's shorts. They're always really good. We have the hour shorts, which is usually on a weeknight, but this year we're showing it on the first Saturday in the morning. It's a mixture of literally like the LGBTQ shorts. Mm-hmm. There's some really, really, really good ones this year.
And for those of us with short attention spans, that's great because you see a lot of movies in one spot.
It really is. I love it because they can be anywhere from like 3 minutes to about 20. I don't think we have anything longer than 20.
Well, I think that's great that Pittsburgh has had now for 30 years this particular film festival. What have you seen to be the impact of having that here in this city?
Well, it's really interesting because I think it used to be a lot more politically charged. I know years ago when Rich Cummings, who started the festival, was running it, we were actually picketed.
Wow.
And it's, we're just not that politically divisive anymore. Mainstream media call me in and ask me to send them information and do interviews and things like that. And it's really nice. It's nice to be that accepted. It's sort of there's a little part of you that would like to be a little edgier, I think, again. You asked about passes. We have what we call a Diva Pass, which is for the whole thing, including the opening night and party, which is going to be at Bricolage. It's going to be really fun. And closing night, our closing night film is 54, the Disco Studio 54 movie.
Right, was it the one with Mike Myers?
Mike Myers, as Steve Rebell, and Ryan Phillippe. And you may ask, why are you showing that? But what happened, this is what they call the director's cut. And when it was originally made, the studio was afraid of it. And they cut huge pieces of it out and really watered it down. And it was sort of, an interesting film, but it wasn't a great film. They have restored the bisexuality of Ryan Phillippe's main character, more of the drug use, more of the culture of the place, and if you've seen the film before, you've not seen this film.
It sounds like
And then we're going to have an after party around the corner at the Arthur Murray Dance Studio.
Wow,
we're all going to wear 70s garb, so you have to get your 70s garb.
I know.
Yeah.
Arthur Murray taught me dancing in a hurry.
Yeah.
I owe it to him.
Like, I have a friend who was in a business meeting, and one of his associates said something like, well, if I wasn't stuck in that route, I would be selling more. And he said, but you are, Blanche. You are. And he said, like, nobody
Who's
got
Blanche?
it. Like, nobody got it. And he had to call me after the meeting so that I would laugh.
Right. We have to state for the record, that is from Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
She says, "What if I weren't in this chair?"
Right.
But you
are
are in
Blanche.
that
You are in that
chair. Margarita with the Straw is a really great women's film.
Well, it's just by the title, it's something I can relate to.
Well,
I'll be really impressed when Disney comes out with a gay character.
they keep talking. I've seen all these Facebook posts where they talk about how they're having a gay prince, but then you find out that it's all a hoax.
Well, I think there's some now that are questionable.
Some are questionable.